Good morning, students. In the last class, we have studied what are the arguments against nationalization and arguments for nationalization, and also we have seen mergers of four main banks. Okay, that was merger of Punjab National Bank, that is Oriental Bank of Commerce, and United Bank of India that got merged with Punjab National Bank. And the second merger was Syndicate Bank that merged with Canara Bank. Then Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank got merged with Union Bank of India, and the last one was Allahabad Bank, which got merged with Indian Bank. Okay, so this were the Indian Bank got merged with Allahabad Bank. So these were the four mergers that took place, and it was very beneficial for the Indian country like India, because there was huge mobilization of resources, there was huge capital. Okay, so that's why merger was a very good sign, okay, for the Indian economy. So there were around 12 public sector banks. Okay, there were 6 merged bank and 6 independent bank. Okay, today we are going to see the another part of public sector banking, that is regional rural bank. Okay, so regional, the word itself says that regional rural bank is what region of a particular region. Rural is in village areas where it is not so developed, okay, as compared to urban areas. It is not that much developed, that's why they are known as rural areas. And bank. Okay, so here the three things will give you the meaning of the regional rural bank. Okay, so this bank, that is regional rural bank, was first established with the recommendation of Nasima committee. You all have learned in the FI become about the Nasima committee. Okay, so here Nasima committee established this rural bank. Okay, so they gave a recommendation that in rural areas there should be some banks. Okay, in particular region there should be rural banks which should benefit the rural area. So that's why regional rural banks was very important. Okay, to because for the rural credit. Okay, most of the private banks were situated in the city area, so there was some need for banking in rural areas also. So here these regional rural banks, okay, they are more established as compared to the commercial banks and your cooperative banks. Okay, so they were established to meet the rural needs of that particular area. Okay, so here government passed an act that in the year 1976. Okay, that act was known as Regional Rural Bank Act. Okay, so here after passing this year, at least 25 regional rural bank established, okay, as a part of India. Okay, so in India there was around 25 regional rural bank. They were also known as RRBs. So this was established after passing the act. Okay, and these banks were developed, or these banks were established with the viewpoint of developing the banking institutions as compared to the commercial banks. Okay, and the act was very important because of this act there was a trust among the people which was created. And these regional rural banks are mostly for the development of rural economy by providing development of agricultural, trade, commerce, industry and other productive activities in the rural areas. Even credit and other facilities were given to the small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, artisans, small entrepreneurs, okay, and other individuals which are connected with these rural areas. So this regional rural bank was a very important thing for the rural people, because there were some objectives behind setting up the regional rural bank. So those objectives were bridging the credit gap in rural areas. Okay, so here most of the private banks were giving loan to the rich people. These small people, those are your artisans, agricultural people, farmers. So nobody was giving the loans and all. So to bridge this gap, regional rural bank was set up to give the credit facilities. Then to develop such measures which could restrict the outflow of rural deposit to urban areas. So most of the banks which were set up in the rural areas, what they used to do, they used to take deposit from these people, rural people, and this deposit was utilized for granting loan in urban areas. So rural area people were not given the loan, only the acceptance of the deposit was taken place by this commercial bank. So because of this, regional rural bank was set up. Then, to reduce regional imbalances and increase rural employment generation activities. So once a regional rural bank is set up, there would be an employment opportunity for the people who are there. So for such people, regional imbalance would have reduced, and there would be increase in the rural employment if a RRB is set. So here RRB was very important because it would provide financial assistance to the different segment of the rural population engaged in the rural activities. Okay, now this area of function. Now this regional rural bank has a limited area where they can function. Okay, so here they are not they are spread across the country, but the area of operation is limited for this RRBs. That is, they are confined to only few districts of the state. Okay, they are in only few districts of the state which are set up. Okay, and the area of functioning is decided by the central government in consultation with NABARD. Okay, NABARD is related to the agriculture and rural areas. Okay, and sponsor bank by way of notification issued by the regard. So here they are only operating in the few areas of the district. Okay, a few district of the state, and the functioning will take place according to the central government. Okay, in consultation with the NABARD. Then it is therefore necessary that the RRB's office, whichever is there, is the head office in the central place, and their notified area functioning, because they are also authorized to open their branch or appoint agency with their specified areas. Okay, so this RRB should be set up in a central area where they can take a watch on each and everything whichever is taking place in that area. Okay, so apart from these regional rural banks giving so much of benefits to the rural people, there were some problems which was faced by this regional rural bank. So let's see what are the problems which are faced by the regional rural banks. So this regional rural banks was a great decision taken by the Narasimha committee, but there were some problems that were encountered with this practice. Okay, so that was haste and lack of coordination of in branch expansion. So here because of the lack of coordination, what happened, the cases is that it could not have a branch. Okay, RRBs are open at the centers. Okay, they are only opened at the centers, and no commercial or cooperative banking facilities were provided. Because of this, there was some hesitation in opening a bank account, and there was also coordination was not matching with the coordination of the central regional rural bank. Okay, then difficult in deposit mobilization. Now whatever deposits were there, okay, the number of practices were difficult in deposit mobilization. As commercial bank, what they do, they deposit the money easily, but for regional rural banks there were some policies. Okay, so on account of the restrictive lending policy which excludes richer section of the village society, these potential depositors show least interest in depositing their money with this bank. Okay, तो ज़्यादातर रिच लोगों को यहाँ पे इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं है, क्योंकि these banks are only for the development of the rural area. So because of this problem, what they have done, these small people who were there, they were not interested in depositing their money. So that was the second problem. Deposit mobilization was not there. And constraint in deposit mobilization. So here, as I told you, RRB will exclude the richer sections of the village society, and which will provide finance to the, which are the main important thing for providing finance to this RRB. But the poor sections were little bit hesitating. They were not so much familiar with depositing money with these banks. Okay, they are interested in depositing money with commercial banks or their finances, but they are not interested over here. So here, that was the second, that is constraint in deposit mobilize. They were not able to mobilize the resources, because how bank will give loan? Only if there is deposit. When there is deposit, bank can give loan. If no deposit, how they will give loan? So that was the third problem. Then slow progress in lending activities. So how there was a so slow progress? Because RRB was not able to give the loan. Okay, the loan giving facility was very less, so there have been limited scope in direct lending in RRBs in their field of operations. Okay, so here RRB was not able to give loans, okay, in that particular area. Then it was very difficult to identify the potential small borrowers, and the bank staff have been required to make special and sincere efforts in this regard. In rural areas, people are not so much educated that they can handle a bank, so it was very difficult for them to be to recruit a bank staff. Okay, then most of the small borrowers do not like the bank formalities. Okay, here whoever the village people and all, they don't like formalities, that signing on the paper, documents, writing, so this they don't like. Okay, so because of that, there was a problem in the slow progress of the lending activity. Then the interest rate, okay, the interest rate was very different. Okay, that was differential interest rate scheme also posed some problem to the RRBs, because here 14% of the commercial bank charged only 4% under the DIR scheme in rural areas. So no borrower would like to take a loan from this RRB. They would directly go to the commercial bank. So there was no effective link between RRBs and the public sector cooperative banks. Okay, so here the farmer service society, so there was no link. If there was a link, then farmers would have taken interest in RRBs. Then there was a lack of coordination between officials at the district levels and officials at the regional rural bank. So there was no that much coordination. Because of this, there was slow lending activity. The activity which of giving loan was very slow. Then urban orientation of staff. So here RRB, what they have done, they have started appointing staff from the rural areas. So appointing staff from the urban areas who were not that much familiar with the local involvement. So that was a major problem which was faced by the RRBs. Then procedural rigidity. So RRB would follow the procedures of the commercial bank, scheduled commercial bank जैसे procedure follow करते हैं for giving for accepting deposit, for giving loans. So this procedure were very complicated and also time consuming, which villagers won't like to. Okay, from the villagers point of view, they don't like to borrow loans in a formal way. Village people, what they do, they borrow loans in a informal way or with a simple way from the money lenders or indigenous bankers. So they have that habit. So that was the last problem which was faced by this bank. So despite of this problem, regional rural bank is trying best to achieve the social objective. They have succeeding in making a project with the image of small banks. Okay, so they tried to overcome this problem, and they have given a new name, that is small bank bank. Okay, so here these banks are only for small people or poor people who are there in the rural areas. Next is lead bank scheme. Okay, so here regional rural bank, lead bank schemes. Okay, so these are some of the schemes or banks which comes under the category of public sector bank. Now this lead bank scheme, it was introduced at the end of 1969. Okay, and this bank, okay, they given the lead role to the individual bank. Okay, they were given lead role, that was both public sector and the private sector for the district which they were allotted. And this bank have a very large network of branches in rural areas of a given district. Okay, जो district है उस district में there will be some banks here, and they have a large branches, and also they have adequate finance and manpower resources. So this lead bank will operate in the district areas. Okay, they will be operating in the district areas, and this lead bank act as a leader for coordinating the efforts of all credit institutions in the allotted district to increase what? To increase the flow of credit in the agricultural sector, small scale industries, other economic activities which include priority sectors in the rural and semi urban areas of the district. Okay, and the geographical area of India. So your lead bank scheme was very important. As you have seen, public sector banks mostly focus on the rural areas and the weaker sections of the society, that is the priority sector. So let's see how this came into existence. This also came into existence, this group, this Reserve Bank of India, on the basis of the chairmanship of Dr. D.R. Gadgil, okay, and the committee of bankers headed by FKF Nariman involved in lead bank scheme. Okay, it is also known as district credit plan. Okay, so here they will provide loan to the weaker sections of the society. The objectives of lead bank scheme was to identify unbanked or underbanked centers in district and to evaluate their psychographical, agroclimatic and socio-economic conditions through economic survey. That is the first thing, that is they will find the area where there is no bank. Okay, जहाँ पे बैंक नहीं है वैसा एरिया वो लोग find करेंगे, and they will try to find out what are the problems why there is no bank with what? Economic survey. Second one is they will help to reduce the regional imbalance to providing appropriate credit facilities. Okay, credit जो है वो देने loan provide करके they will try to reduce the regional imbalance. Then to extend banking facilities to unbanked area. Okay, जो area में bank नहीं है उस area में they will try to have a bank in that particular area. Then they what they will do, they estimate credit gaps in various sectors of the economy of a district and prepare a credit plan accordingly. What they will do, they will prepare a estimate of a credit gap, how much credit gap is there in the various sectors of the economy, and they will also prepare a credit plan accordingly. Okay, then they will identify economically viable and technically feasible schemes. Okay, so here economic को जो पॉलिसीज के अंडर आते हैं विच आर वेरी इकोनॉमिकल, सच स्कीम दे विल फाइंड एंड दे विल ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट दो स्कीम. Then to effect structural and viable and procedural changes in banking sectors, जो changes लाने हैं this lead scheme bank will do that. Okay, then to develop cooperation amongst the financial and non-financial institutions in overall development of the district. Okay, so that is also important. To serve as a clearing house for discussion of problems arising out of the financial priority sectors. Okay, so these were some of the objectives of lead bank scheme. So here lead bank scheme was very important so that there was no gap between regional areas and rural areas with respect to the banking in the country. Now these were the two sections that comes under public sector banking, that is regional rural banks and your lead bank scheme. Okay, so here if a question may be explain in brief about regional rural bank or explain what do you mean by lead bank scheme. So you should be able to write what is lead bank scheme and what are the objectives of lead bank scheme. They may come for the short question. Okay, next is challenges before public sector banking in India in past and present. What are the challenges of public sector bank? Okay, as we know, after nationalization this public sector bank before nationalization there was some challenges for this, and after nationalization also there were some challenges that were faced by this public sector bank. So in 1947 the banking sector has around rupees 1000 crore deposit over 500 branches. Okay, and out of this total 54 banks in the country, 38 48 banks failed in 1947 and 45 banks failed in 1948. And there was failures in some bank, and also this banks has to face LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization policies in 1991, which allowed private banks also to come into the economy. So let's see what are the current scenario and what are the problems or challenges that were faced by these banks. Okay, so currently there are around 10 public sector banks in the country. Okay, and there are around 22 banks in the private areas. Okay, from 1991. So due to this non-performing assets, so there were several mergers that took place in the country. Okay, several banks got mergers. We have seen in the last class that there were several banks that took place, that mergers that took place in the country. So the first challenge was what this there was a need for the credit. Okay, there was a need to provide credit, and increasing the credit was very important, that is microeconomic development and refinancing agency, that is mudra. Okay, this scheme was able to provide credit for the expanding the existing small business, and this was a successful. Okay, so here the loans were major, the loans are majoritarily extended to well performed sectors. Second one was non-performing assets. So non-performing assets are bad loans, and which surely and it was a very difficult non-performing asset, malab the assets doesn't perform anything, and loans which was provided to such sectors would not gain any profit to such. Okay, so that was non-performing assets. Okay, so here that was the second challenge that was faced. Okay, so out of total non-performing assets in the country, which has crossed around 10 lakh crores. Okay, so here more than 70% from the corporate sector. This was what from the corporate sector. And the statistics which was showing that there was no loans which was provided to the what you call your rural area. So that was the second challenge that was faced. Next, frauds. So here, when in public sector banks, there was people tend to interchangeably use the word NPAs and fraud in the banking sectors. So here people started using scam word. So this was creating what you call a bad image in the rural area people. Okay, so here fraud started taking place. Such fraud may be including accounting fraud, demand draft fraud, uninsured deposit, bill discounting fraud, fraudulent loan, check knitting, and the list continues. Okay, so here there was a case, as you all know, about the Punjab National Bank, that is Nirav Modi, which took place. That was fake letter of undertaking worth rupees 11 crores was issued to the most relevant. Was the first scam, was the recent scam that took place about Punjab National Bank, कि नीरव मोदी ने क्या किया, they have given a letter of undertaking worth rupees 11 crores. So there was a scam of around 11 crores. The other scam includes what, Vijay Mallya, which was who was a loan defaulter of around rupees 9 crores, and Rotomac Global, which had made a scam of cheating 7 lenders for around 3,700 crores. So these are the what you call frauds that took place in public sector banks. Next was rural market. So here in India, around 69% of the in Indian populations which reside in the rural areas. So most of the challenges were taken place, that those were to develop the rural areas of the country. Okay, so that was to set up a branch in the rural areas, to have a ATM machine, and to create a habit of banking in this rural areas. So that was the next this thing what you call challenge that was faced. losses in rural branches. So here, as you all know, rural people, what they do, they are very interested in taking loans from money lenders or people from where they can get loan easily. They don't want to face such formalities of taking loans and all. So there people who was not depositing money in such banks, okay, that is your public sector banks. So there was a great loss for running a rural branches in the rural areas. Then large overdues. Small branches of commercial banks has faced a new problem, that is there was overdue of advances to the farmers, okay, and farmers are what, they are not able to cope up such loans, okay. There were around rupees 10,000 crores that has added to the plight of such banks, okay. Small banks had given loan to the farmers and they were not able to repay such loans, okay. So that was the next challenge. Then advances to the priority sectors. In our country there are many priority sectors, that is small sectors, agricultural sectors, rural area development. So such loans were provided to such priority sectors. Then the bank had a competition from non-banking financial institution. Now this non-banking financial institutions will be doing the activities such as mutual fund, housing finance corporation, leasing and investment companies. So this public sector banks public sector banks, what they do, this all this institution compete closely with the commercial banks in attracting public deposit and offer higher rate of interest than that of the commercial banks. So these public sector banks were facing competition with the non banking financial institutions also. Then competition with foreign banks. Public sector banks were also having a competition with the foreign banks and small private sector banks, because this they had registered a higher increase of deposit. So here people, why they go to the private foreign banks and private banks, because they give great services to their customers. So this attracts the customer, okay, and because of this impressive services which are given by the private banks and foreign banks, people take more interest in depositing in such bank, which was a great competition for public sector banks. Then gap between promise and performances. So here after nationalization there was many what you call promises which were made by the public sector banks, that we will serve services, but there was no performance which was done on the promises which were given to the customers. Then bureaucratization and promises and political pressures, okay. So here another problem which was faced by the commercial bank was bureaucratization of the banking system, okay. So here this was a result of what, nationalization. Once nationalization of the bank was done, the government took more control on the bank. So when there is government control, there is a growth of political pressures also on the state and central government. So here most of the banks are under the control of this government pressures, okay. So that was the next challenge which was faced by this public sector banks. So with this we complete our chapter, that is a fourth chapter, and also we complete with the portion of the first semester 3, okay. So let's revise what are the points we have discussed, okay. I hope you all remember whatever points we have discussed. In the first, we have seen what are the definition of public sector banks, okay. We have seen what is public sector banks. Here public sector banks is what, most of the shares are in the hands of the government, that is state and central government, okay. So here public sector bank was the first public sector bank was after nationalization of the Imperial Bank, and the new bank was created, that was the State Bank of India. Now this classification of the public sector banks are of four, that is central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India, commercial bank, specialized banking service, non-banking financial service, okay. Then State Bank of India, So here State Bank of India, the evolution of State Bank of India, how it was founded. It was founded with the help of the Imperial Bank. Imperial Bank is what? Merger of Bank of Calcutta, Bank of Bombay and Bank of Madras. Okay, so this banks was merged and Imperial Bank was formed, and after Imperial Bank was formed, the nationalization took place, and after nationalization this Imperial Bank was renamed as State Bank of India. The functions of State Bank of India, those are central banking function, maintaining currency, government's bank, bankers bank, and act as a clearing house. Then we have seen what is nationalization. Nationalization मतलब क्या है वो देखा हम लोगों ने. So nationalization is what? Here is a process whereby national government or state government takes the private industry, organization or assets of the public into the public owned by the act or audience or some other kind of orders. So what is the nationalization का objectives क्या है? It is sorry, social welfare, controlling private monopolies, expansion of banking, reducing regional imbalances and priority sector lending. Then we have seen what is regional rural bank, and also we have seen lead bank scheme. ये क्या है हम लोगों ने देखा. And we have seen the challenges which was challenges before public sector banks in India in the past and the present. That was the current scenario, the challenges, non-performing assets, frauds, rural market, losses in rural branches, large overdues, advance to priority sector, competition from non-banking financial institutions, competition with the foreign banks, gap between promise and performance, and bureaucratization on political pressure. This word I'm not able to spell, I don't know why. Okay, so so these are the points which we have learned in this last chapter. In the next class we will see how to solve the questions. Okay, how to write a question for the exam.